Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap live stream. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of streaming on Sulky, which is the free-to-play account that I've had for a couple of months now. We're pretty deep into Pool 3, and I wanted to grind it up a little bit in preparation for when collector's tokens come out. I want to be able to push as many of the new cards, because I think they'll release a group of cards along with the collector's tokens, and so I want to have two accounts that can be unlocking those so that we can brew and do different decks more quickly. And so thank you everyone that jumped in. I know this is one, different than Twitch, and then two, really outside of our normal streaming time, so I appreciate everyone that jumped in. We have Toyez, we have Adrian, we have Q, we have Brad and Blitz. Thank you guys for all for being here. We have Sasuke as well. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and literally missed it. Missed what? Sasuke, what'd you miss? We just went live. B-Stress, how's it going? Urko in Kim Kant, thank you guys for being here. Toby, yeah, yes, Sasuke, we're just starting. We just loaded up like a minute. We're like 45 seconds in. I'm glad, so you're right on time. So let's switch over into the gameplay view. We are going to be running a little bit of, it's a destroyer package, but it's a little bit different than most destroyer packages. Hi from Singapore, Dennis. Thank you for jumping in and joining us. I appreciate all of you guys jumping in just so last minute, because the notification wasn't up for very long. And so this one is a little bit different than a normal discard package. So it's one that was created and kind of finessed by a user named Ari, and they've got like 10,000 wins with this deck. They've played it a lot. But it uses a couple of kind of sneaky cards to be able to more consistently lock down lanes and get your destroyer to a win condition. So Yellow Jacket is going to be great with the Wakandan Embassy lane because it's a free drop. We have Professor X, which if we combine those two is going to be something like 9 power on a single turn, which is also going to be really, really good to be able to push out onto the board. And so let's go ahead and jump in and we'll navigate it a little bit. But overall, we're only rank 40 on this one, which is why I wanted to grind it up a little bit, because we want to push this one at least to 70. We're going to try and get it to 70 each season, so we get the card variant, and we just kind of go from there. Sasuke, I'm from the Netherlands, so this time really works good for you. So it's 4 a.m. for me now. I woke up early. And so I'm up before my daughter, and so I'm going to be live until she wakes up. So that could be 2 hours, it could be 3. It just depends on how she sleeps. Hey Jason, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far, or great night, evening, whatever time it is for you over there. I'm casually like rank 30 and don't have any cards at all. Very small card pool. You'll get there. Just playing. Just continuing to play. If you complete your weeklies, that's probably one of the biggest things that you can do to advance your collection. If you don't want to spend money, your weeklies are always a really big kind of boost once you get to that 25. B-Stress, 11:20 a.m. right now for your time. So it's getting pretty late over there. But I appreciate you being here. Urko, does she feel better? She's starting to. She's not completely there. But we took her to the doctor. They said it's more of just a really bad kind of nasty cold. And so she wants to be in a good mood, but you can tell that she doesn't feel great all of the time. And so thank you for asking. But it's nothing too serious, it doesn't seem like, which is good. That's definitely going to be a good thing. So we can ramp up. We could drop our destroyer early if we wanted to. But I think we do a Hawkeye and an Adam Warlock. I think we... No, let's do Adam Warlock into Los Diablos space. We'll go ahead and throw Hawkeye into the ruins, just to kind of throw them off of our track. Next time we will lock down Los Diablos space with our Professor X. That should allow us some flexibility in dropping our destroyer on the final turn. 6:20 p.m. in Malaysia. Oh, so it's right after dinner time. That's perfect for you, Alvin. And then... Michael, do we have a Discord? We do. I don't think I have the exclamation Discord notification set up on Nightbot for this one, but it should come up every about 20 minutes or so. I can grab you a link here in just a minute. But it should come up. It should come up sometime soon. Why is Yellow Jacket useful here? So we can do something like Yellow Jacket and Professor X. And so if we think that they're going to invest their power into the storm location, we can drop Yellow Jacket as a way to kind of help push the Professor X's reach a little bit further. Kim can't. Good thing I tried playing Marvel Snap. It's so much fun, and it makes for a good side game while waiting for your Overwatch 2 queues. Our Overwatch 2 queues still like really, really long. And then Joel, care for Cosmo. Cosmo would help our Yellow Jacket a little bit. Professor X would still go off. I just don't know if they're going to invest in the flooded lane or not, which makes it kind of iffy. So I think we'll go with Professor X this turn, and then next time we can go with Destroyer and Yellow Jacket in the Cosmo lane. I think this is going to be safer. I kind of want to risk going here, but I don't know that it's worth it. Ooh, Addy, you said going to watch Wakanda Forever right now. I'm so hyped in 24 minutes. That's huge. Oh no. The Doc Ock pulls in our Destroyer, which wipes out our board. But our Professor X is still unflipped. No, that's not our... Yeah, no, our Professor X is still unflipped. So we win the flooded lane. We win Los Diablo space out of the transaction. And so then we just... We don't even have to play on this last turn. We can just throw a couple of cards on the board. But unless they can push power over here, then we have the lane locked down, even with the Destroyer coming in. You've been getting a lot of cubes off of Wakandan Embassy with Brood. Yeah, Brood is gonna be good. Being able to push 12 power if you see the location for 3 energy is massive. You could partner that with like a Maximus for something like 19 power push on the last turn for a pretty low cost. And then Haki, my game is glitched and I can't rank up and collect any rewards. Glitch happened since I collected an Invisible Woman. You tried reporting it, but nothing. Haki, have you jumped into the Marvel Snap Discord? There's a player support channel that might get you a little bit quicker response. And then Sasuke, what does Brood do? So I'll pull it up. But Brood is kind of... Are you familiar with Mr. Sinister? So Brood is just a kind of a buffed up version of Mr. Sinister. So it's a 3/2 typically. Or is it a 3/3? Where is our Brood? I have to be overlooking it. Okay. Apparently I don't... But Brood will create 2 Broodlings onto the board. So similar to how Mr. Sinister will push 1 out onto the board, Brood will do... he does 2 copies of himself. So if he is buffed up to 4 power, they will all be 4 power. If he's buffed up even further, so you have Wakandan Embassy plus a Forge, then it's going to be an 18 power push for 3 cost. It's just a really big power push. It's a 3/4. Is it? Wait, it's not a 3/4, right? It should... I'm losing my mind. I don't... That sounds really dumb. It's not... Most of the time, it's not useful. There are occasions where it is very, 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 very good. So if you're running a Patriot list, it creates 2 ability list tokens onto the board. And so you can buff those up with Patriot. You can do a couple of cool things with it. It is a 3/2. Was I just overlooking it, Gian? And then Blitz. What's your favorite Marvel Snap hero? Oh wait, I know why I couldn't find it. I don't have Brood on this account because this is not my full collection log. I haven't unlocked it on Sulky Hulky because it's my free-to-play Pool 3 alternate account. But my favorite Marvel hero, I think I like Gambit a lot, just because he kind of has that air of mystery behind him. And so outside of like the mainstream superheroes, I like Gambit quite a bit. I'm gonna say it. You look like Charlie Cox, and it's awesome. You're not the first one that said that. If I could have gotten it in time, I would have gotten. I would have went I would have dressed up as him for Halloween, but I wasn't able to get the stuff in time. And then Urko, thank you so much for joining as a team member. If you refresh the stream,
hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
If you refresh the stream, you now have access to our growing list of emojis. We have a couple of pretty good ones, and I'm continually trying to kind of tweak and maneuver and get as many cool ones in there as we can. Then, yeah, the 90s animated series for the win. My first introduction into Marvel, or I guess more specifically into like X-Men, was the Sega Genesis. It had the X-Men game, and it was incredibly hard. I played it whenever I was really young. I don't think I ever beat the first level. It was so incredibly hard. But you got to use people like Gambit. Sometimes you had Storm come in, and it gave me a pretty cool introduction into some of those early characters, which later. Oh no, you do look like Charlie Cox. And then Leo Zero, thank you for jumping in and joining us. But which later led into kind of looking at the animated series and all of these other cool avenues that I eventually went down. So they've played 2 ongoing cards. I think we might hold, and we're going to switch hands on turn 6 though. And so I think we can actually get rid of most of our cards by the time we swap hands. The first game was the first game I ever played on. The first X-Men game. Yeah, and what an introduction into like the Sega Genesis and video games, because that one was brutal. There were definitely easier ones at the time, but that one was tough. So they did a lot of ongoing cards. I think they are probably hoping for a Spectrum, but I think we throw Cosmo into the Subterranean lane. That way they can't send the Green Goblin back. They can't destroy it, and then we can drop the rest of our cards. That way they don't get anything. We're not gonna let them get anything. We'll pull whatever they end up sending us. Then they'll just have to rely on top decking whatever they get. And then Dill Pickle, big fan of your content. Your videos helped me climb to 60 plus from pool 1 into pool 2. Kind of hard stuck around there though. How far into pool 2 are you right now, Dill Pickle? Because around 70, it seems like it gets pretty tough. It gets pretty competitive. Bings, did you just end your stream? I saw that you've been live for like 6 hours. It feels like 6 hours. It may have only been like 4 or 5. Around refresh is when I saw you go live. So they sent us a lot of rocks. I saw that you're still dual streaming. It seems like it's going pretty well for you, which is big. I'm glad that some of the people that have been in here that have been grinding out the game are starting to finally see like that growth, that because you were one of the most consistent ones early on, and so you definitely deserve to get some of that growth. Right now we only have 1 ongoing card. We have 2 ongoing cards. I think we throw Spectrum onto the board. That way if we top deck something like Destroyer, we have some options into where we can utilize it. All of the rocks that they sent us are tough though. Yeah, the rocks are too damn high. They are for sure. Dennis, you also play Marvel Duel? I haven't heard of Marvel Duel. And then Michael, yeah, the first X-Men game was rough. Wait, was that the second game? Did I not? I don't think I tracked I think we won one before that one. But we'll start now. We'll start with the 2 cubes. I hope that your stream went well, by the way, Binks. Trying to release your daily video right after the stream for the reasons you talked about. Yeah, no problem. And I feel like I don't know. I think yours are starting to pop off, but mine are starting to kind of dwindle a little bit, or at least settle in. And so it's a weird opposite, because everything that was releasing was going 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10, and now we're looking at like 5 and 6 and 7 out of 10. And so it's a weird polar, trying to figure out like the best way to release the content and make sure that you're not stifling yourself with the algorithm. And so I think it's definitely just some give and take. Why are you using Yellow Jacket? For extra power. So Yellow Jacket is a good way to push some extra power whenever you try to lock down Professor X lane. If it gets hit with Wakandan Embassy, then it kind of elevates even further. It just gives you some extra power push in some consistency and locking down a few of those lanes. And then if you drop Cosmo, then you don't have to worry about the downside from Yellow Jacket. And so you can, there's a few sneaky ways that you can make use of it from this list. So do we, I kind of think we Psylocke. I kind of want to Psylocke and then double lockdown next turn, depending on what they drop. I think we're going to try it. And then Aiden, not on Twitch today. I don't know. I don't know. We don't know anymore. We don't know anymore, Aiden. I'm still trying to figure out and play around with the algorithm, and I'm not able to dual stream. I'm not able to dual stream. Just I guess my connection can't handle it. It gets a little bit inconsistent, and so it would streaming exclusively over there. I don't know. It's an experiment that we're trying out because I don't know what's going to be best for the YouTube channel or just for our community. I kind of want everything all together, but at the same time, I understand why it would be advantageous to have it separated as well. And so I'm still playing around with it. Viable replacement for Green Goblin. So Green Goblin, hey Binks,
it took you long enough.
The huge support. Thank you so much, Binks, for joining the channel. If you refresh the stream, you will now have access to our growing list of emojis. Honestly, Green Goblin is the most replaceable card in this list, and so you're going to be able to replace it fairly easily. I've tried Claw, which is decent. You could do Debris as a way to kind of clog their board, but Green Goblin is probably the least used from this list. And so if you don't have it, the rest of the deck list runs pretty well just by itself. And then Jake, good morning TLSG. What time is it for you? It's 4:30 a.m. The huge support from Binks. By the way, I'll need to return the favor next time you're streaming. So I'm going to try to lock down Kunlun. We do have... It's either that or drop a double Cosmo. But we have the advantage here. They will be able to play something here and it get pushed over into this way, but I think we have enough of a push here that it should be okay. And so we're going to try to lock down the far left lane. Theo, you said play deck what bank? What? And then whoa, I forgot YouTube comes through in waves. Thank you Vava and thank you Silamore both for subbing to the channel. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you guys here. So they flooded this far left lane. We could do a double destroyer, but it's just going to destroy him. Actually, it destroys himself, right? Or does it not count as fully played until after they both resolve? I think we'll try it out. I think either way, we might be able to get away with just the 16 power, regardless of where it goes. But I think it'll be fun to see. Ferdinand, you said hi TLSG, early morning for you. Nice to watch your stream. I'm glad you were able to. Jump in and join us. Oh, it does kill itself. Oh well. Well, we lose. That's okay. I think we would have lost either way, no matter which direction we played it, unless we had done something like the Cosmo. Maybe we could have found a win condition, but the Juggernaut to push our Spider-Man off of Sinister London on 4 was big. Sasuke, what are collector's tokens? So collector's tokens are going to be a way that you're going to be able to target what cards you acquire. And so right now, you're at the mercy of the collection track. You don't know when you're going to get a card or what card you're going to get. It's going to be random. Collector's tokens, they're going to be a currency that you can acquire. And then as you acquire it, you'll have a shop that's going to rotate these different cards. When you see one that you want to unlock with your tokens, you freeze it and then you just wait until you have enough tokens to unlock it. So it gives you a little bit of agency in your collection and what cards you get and when. I think it should be really, really big. Oh, you just got Sarah? Invited Scroll, that's huge. Such a versatile card. We're going to drop the Sunspot again. Toby, hey TLSG, I'm hovering at 5,000 credits. How long do you think collector's tokens are coming? Toby, I don't know. I keep thinking it should be soon, it should be soon, it should be soon. But then we haven't really heard much. I think it was November 8th which seems really stalkery that I know the date. But I think Ben said something about information on the collector's tokens was going to come soon, which one of their things is that they use just like the ambiguous soon a lot. But we should know something, I think, within the next couple of weeks, at least to have a better idea. They did say 2022 they would be out, so within a month and a half at the very longest. You think next season is a fair expectation? I'd think so. Yeah, it's going to be soon. We just don't know what the definition of soon would be. And so we do have our destroyer. We have Spider-Man. If we can lock down one of the lanes early. And then our Yellow Jacket did receive the Wakandan Embassy buff. So he's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit better to utilize. If we can draw into Professor X within the next couple of turns, Spider-Man will allow us to more consistently or easily gauge if we can lock down one of the locations. And so I think we'll kind of play into that. By the way, is Gambit pool 2 or 3? He's pool 3. Sasuke winning while watching. Huge Sasuke. So we have a 1 out of 5 chance of pulling our Professor X next turn. I don't think we lean into that. I think we'll do Cosmo. We let Sunspot absorb some of the energy. We can now use Yellow Jacket as a kind of sneaky 4-power card. Cosmo's going to make sure that we don't have the downside of that on reveal. And then we can kind of gauge what we do from there. We may need to drop Destroyer in the lane. We may need to, I don't know, depending on if we get our Professor X or not. Wait, you got Gambit from your cache? Did you just get Gambit as well? Gambit's not quite as good as Sarah early on, but he's still pretty. He's fun to use whenever you have enough support for him. So they have the Warpath. We could cancel out their bonus here. But I'm almost thinking we lock down this lane. We could use our Yellow Jacket mid. We could always go with Green Goblin into the far right. Because if they don't throw anything into this third lane, then we can use this as a way to easily swing this location on the final turn. I think we're just going to go with Spider-Man and then see what they end up dropping so that we can kind of assess from there. Cosmo with Yellow Jacket is so dirty, so much value, especially with Wakandan Embassy, and it's a sneaky amount of value because you're never going to anticipate a Yellow Jacket to follow up in the Cosmo lane. Like never in a million years would I expect that. And so yeah, it is a sneaky amount of power. So they throw Daredevil. This has to be a bot. Ruining their Warpath bonus, they throw Daredevil into the far right lane on turn 5. We need 4 power here. How long have you been live? It's 4 a.m. for you. We've been live for about 20 minutes now. Not very long. Not very long at all. And then Sasuke. I think this one's a bot. Which is why they would play the Carnage into the Wakandan Embassy, the armored lane. I don't see a great win condition though. We can throw our Yellow Jacket into the empty lane. We could do Destroyer here, but that gives up this location. Yellow Jacket left and Destroyer mid. Yellow Jacket left, if we use it, it's going to take down 2 of the power here. And so it's only going to push us to 14. Oh, and then hope you win the tie. But we wouldn't win the tie here. We'd be down by 2. So if we were doing I better whatever I'm doing, I better figure it out. No, you're okay, Jake. I think we lose this one. We're gonna. Oh well. I guess we could have destroyed, right? I don't know. Not a great start for Sulky Hulky. Making his YouTube stream debut, and he is -10. We'll turn it around. We'll turn it around soon. Your favorite deck for pool 2 upper level? I actually like a control deck, Dill Pickle. And so it's something that I haven't made a video for, but I had like a 80% win rate from 45 to 70. And then I kind of just stopped playing for a little bit, switched over to one of our other accounts. But it's more of a, because there are so many strong combos, but there's not strong enough combos to outbeat all of the other combos. And so I think more of a controller counter style list does a little bit better. So I have both Shang-Chi and Enchantress. I have Killmonger, Nova as a way to buff up some of our other cards. And you can really start sneaking some power out onto the board that way. I can get you the list here in a minute if you want. Would you say the premium pass is worth it? I picked up the game last week. Sillamore. I think if you're going to spend any money at all on the game, the season pass is the most value that you're going to get. It's going to be more value than just buying credits or just buying gold. It's going to give you a mixture. So you get variants, you get a new card, and then you also get all of these cool cosmetics, gold in return. And so it's the most bang for your buck if you're looking to just spend a little bit and not completely whale out. And so we do have Spider-Man and Professor X. So I think we Cosmo into Muir Island. We let those start kind of simmering. Next turn, we'll go with a Spider-Man. Ooh, we actually can't do Professor X on turn 5. Unless we do a Psylocke on 4. Because Dream Dimension is going to increase the cost by 1. And then Murillo, thank you so much for the sub. I hope that you're having a fantastic evening. Is it possible to make a pool 2 Destroyer deck? Destroyer deck with Destroyer. I've only just hit pool 3, and Destroyer being one of your first cards is huge. So you can make an ongoing Spectrum Destroyer deck list, or otherwise most of the cards that's required for a normal Destroyer deck are pool 2. So I made one. It's under. I have one on my channel from whenever I pulled Destroyer on this list. If you look under the playlists under the free to play account, there should be one for Destroyer, and it runs pretty decently. The Spectrum ongoing one is another really decent option. So I don't think Professor X is going to be great for us. I almost want to send them a Green Goblin. We can lock down Dream Dimension on the last turn with Spider-Man. That'll give us a little bit of agency in where we drop our last turn card. But I don't think we have the reach here. And then Illo, what do you think the best archetype is right now? It depends on what pool you're in. Pool 3, I think a really strong like on reveal deck list, or even something like the discard cycle deck was incredibly strong. And so I think a combination of one of those. We have Zero, which is another really big archetype. But those would be the ones I think are the top. So the Shang-Chi and the far, this is another bot, right? I don't think they can beat us in Muir Island. I don't think they have the reach. And then we can just lock down the Professor X lane. We can drop Sunspot as a little bit of extra push in Muir Island. But I don't think they're, unless they have a claw, which could happen. Most likely not, but it could happen. Then we should be able to swing this one out, which we need to win. We need to win really badly right now. The Iron Man in Muir Island is big, but it's not quite going to be able to do it. So -6, we're working on our upward ascension again. Dilpoka, you've been swinging back and forth between 58 and 65 for like a week. I'd love the list. I don't think I have it on this account, and I don't think I started making a video on it. Let me see. Actually, in today's video, so the video that I made today on the top 5 deck lists, it's actually listed for the pool 2 version. So it's the pool 2 control deck list. And so I can grab the code for you guys in just a second. I'll load up the video description for it. And then for any of you guys that are either new to the stream or you just enjoy the live streams on YouTube, if you are enjoying them, give the... Why did I play Yellow Jacket? What am I doing? If you give the stream a like, it does help it reach a wider audience, and it is very much appreciated. So this one, I don't know how this will come through in the chat. I may get flagged by my... Oh no, it's too long. So I can give you the video link that has it in the description. I was going to copy the entire deck code, but it's too long. So that is going to be the YouTube video that has the pool 2 control deck list that I was talking about. I don't know, I haven't tested it with the Wakandan Embassy location. Outside of that, I climbed, I had like an 80% win rate from 45 to about 73. And then I kind of stopped running it for a little while. But up until that point, it was incredibly consistent. It was able to counter any kind of big plays that the opponent did. So if they were running a Devil Dino deck, we could destroy one of their Devil Dinos or 2 of them. We could hit it with both an Enchantress and a Shang-Chi. And we had a decent amount of flexibility there. And then Jake, is your main account maxed out? I'm not infinite on it this season. I've hit infinite on it each season so far. And then John, yeah, I don't know why I played Yellow Jacket on turn 1. And then Vava, no Daredevil. I don't have Daredevil on this account, but I don't necessarily think that it adds an incredible amount of value. A lot of times Daredevil, it's kind of like a crutch. If you have the right cards in place, you don't necessarily need the read on it. It does help you lock down with Professor X a little bit easier. But with this list, we're looking to do like a Yellow Jacket into a Professor X, or Professor X into an Angela Lane to extend the win a little bit further. And so we don't necessarily always need the Yellow Jacket to come down. So we are going to Spider-Man into the Wakandan Embassy lane. That'll let us do a Professor X. We should have no problem locking this lane down next turn. And then on turn 5 or on turn 6, we can do something like a Cosmo and a Psylocke into a Professor X, or into a Destroyer on the last turn. Beyond Lazy. Someone commented on one of my videos, no deck code, Beyond Lazy. Thanks. I mean, not that you're, streaming multiple hours at a time or making daily content, not as a full-time content creator, but as just someone that likes doing it. Beyond Lazy. Shame on you, Binks. Shame on you. Yeah, I can't win with the deck codes, because at first it was, hey, you need the deck codes in the description. So I've been making sure I do that, and then it's, hey, I can't copy and paste here, put them in the comment section, and then it's, I can't copy from the comment section, upload it to another site, and then provide the link. It's tough. It's tough out here. It's definitely tough out here. Yeah, that was an unlucky Wong for him, locked down by Spider-Man, and then locking it fully down with Professor X. It looks like they're running the like a discard deck list, but they're not going to be able to get much usage out of it. And so we do have... Do we go this direction? I think we do. I think we're going to send them a Green Goblin. We can use our Cosmo, and then on the last turn we can do Destroyer to cap this one out. We have the win here. It should be a pretty easy lane lockdown. Imagine needing deck code in 12 card deck. If you're trying a lot of different lists, I get it, but for the most part, yeah, I just look at the picture and I just add in. It's not too bad. But they're hitting your they're hitting your engagement, your video engagement. They're boosting that up. So we can drop to the Destroyer and the Sunspot. I think this one should be a pretty straightforward win. To give us another 4 cubes up, that'll push us up to -2. We are almost back on that forward ascension. That -8 cube loss early on hurt us quite a bit. But we'll be able to churn through quite a few of these games, and I think we'll be there in no time. Blitz, right now I'm still trying to reach bronze in this season. We have plenty of time up to -2. We have plenty of time left. Blitz, I think if you want to climb, just find and Michael, Professor X, yeah. Since it locks down the lane, so it locks down so cards can't be removed, added, destroyed, anything. So Professor X is a good way for the destroyer package to work because it protects anything in that lane. But Blitz, we have plenty of time left in the season. I think you have, if you want to climb, just find something that you enjoy running and that you can run pretty consistently. And so if Rashawn, you just beat me. What's your in-game name, Rashawn? I've dropped a couple of games, and so well played if you were one of our recent matches. Jake, I never use deck codes. When I copy them, they don't paste into the game. The implementation of them is it is kind of tough to use. Oh, that's right, Rockatone. So maybe we need to take out the Wakandan embassy, or not the Wakandan embassy. Maybe we need to take out the Green Goblin. We could throw in pretty much anything else. Invited. All right, gonna watch Spessy. See ya. Well, enjoy the stream. He's over on Twitch, right? Either way, enjoy the stream. I'm glad you stopped by to say hey. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And then Urko, that's true. If you climb too fast, there's been some seasons where I hit infinite within like the first week, the first couple of days, and then you don't really have much to push for after that. And so it does, yeah, it can make the rest of the season kind of lackluster. So it looks like they're going to try to destroy this lane. So I'm actually going to throw Cosmo into the Baxter building. That will do a couple things. It'll let us either drop Destroyer there on the last turn to get the Wakandan embassy or the Baxter building bonus, or we can lock one of these lanes down. It gives us some flexibility, and it makes sure that they can't at least run like a Carnage here. They could run a Killmonger somewhere else and be fine, but I think most likely they're looking to stack their Carnage in the lane. And then Jake, do you have all the cards on your main? I do. I do. I don't have. I'm actually collection level like 5,500, and so we're still. Yeah, once they release the new ones, I'm excited to pull any new cards that they come up with, but right now we do have all of them. Urko, you're infinite and bored now? Yeah. Oh, rest of your night, invited scroll. I hope you have a great rest of your day then. And then Ko, what benefits do we get? I may have missed your previous message about... I'm not sure what you're referring to on that one, Ko. Do you think any cards are so OP they need to be nerfed/reworked? The only thing I could maybe think of is Sarah, and that's just because she creates so much flexibility. But I don't know of a good way that they'd be able to. I don't know of a good way they'd be able to do that. And so let's drop our Angela and our armor into the mid lane. I think we lose this one, because that demon is huge. The 11 power in that lane is going to be tough to overcome, and it makes sure that they can't destroy anything here or here. And then we force the retreat because they're running a destroyer package. They couldn't destroy here, and then they couldn't destroy here, and so Sarah -2 power, Arrow -1. I think that'd put them in line because Arrow, the buff that she got was a very sneaky buff, but it made her very, very, very viable. And very usable. And so that, like, just the late game, it's similar to why they nerfed Magic. The late game like power potential is hard to overcome. So if you drop an arrow and it forces the opponent, it's hard to read, and then 2, hard to play around it. Similar to Magic on 6, whenever you could just drop it and extend the game, and then your opponent's big power push was out on the board and you could react from there. I think it's very similar with where Arrow's at now. Limiting Sarah to an on reveal like Nakia for a similar left side only discount. Kid Luffy, I think that might like completely kill her. So Nakia, she's in a really tough spot. Like, I don't know that I've ran her in a list or been able to successfully run her since they nerfed her. Just because juggling your cards and trying to get them into the far left 2 spots can be incredibly tough. I love how there's so much diversity in decks you can make. There isn't really any tier 0 decks as of yet. Yeah, and so even when negative serotonin, it was a really like consistent list, but it could be beat. It didn't didn't completely ruin the chance for every other deck. It just depended on like what your deck was built around. Nakia should be 3 cards. I agree, Binks, because right now if you play her on reveal, she's 1 power, you get 2 power into your hand, and so it's a total of 5 power push for a 3 cost, which is still pretty low. You can do Ironheart, and that's going to be 6 power. It's going to be 6 power, and it's immediately on the board. And so then you could hit it again with things like Odin, and Ironheart is a pool, like a beginner card. And so like in very few situations would I see Nakia being stronger than an Ironheart in the current state. And so I think if it hit more cards, I think it could be much stronger. Sasuke 8QW. So you're just out here taking those cubes. So they have Cloak. I imagine that they move their Human Torch over to the left this turn. And so I think what we're gonna do is throw down both our Adam Warlock and our Sunspot. We're gonna shuffle our cards after this. I think we will get a free draw. We're not gonna make use of it this turn. We'll draw into it and then shuffle it right back. But outside of that, if we can keep the advantage in Sakaar, then I think we can find some upside. FNKI, how's it going? How's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far. Nakia would be strong and fun at 3 cards. Yeah, I think she'd be much more usable. I don't think she'd be broken, but I think she'd be in a much better spot than she was before. And then Kim-sun, thank you so much for the sub. I hope that you're having a great day so far, and I'm glad to have you here. And then Stratos, will we be able to unlock all the rewards that were available only in seasons that happened during the beta? Yeah, so they said that they're going to release the card backs, the cosmetics, everything that came along with it. I think their answer to that is probably going to be collector's tokens, but we don't know for sure. We don't know exactly how that's going to play just yet, but I would imagine that it'd probably be in your collector's token shop. But we're gonna lock down the middle location with Spider-Man. If we can somehow top deck into Professor X, then we can lock this down. It really prohibits the capabilities of their move list. But if we don't, then we probably are gonna lose this one. You feel like Nakia should be random cards in your hand? You don't know why they made it far left. They made it far left so that you could kind of control that play around. So RNG a lot of times will kind of tank that effect. So since like if you want to run a Green Goblin and you have Nakia, her hitting a random card really limits that potential consistency. So they made it as a consistency factor, but then Koei, no. So Spider-Man stops them from playing cards in this lane. But cards can still be moved over into that lane. Professor X would be our only way to stop them from moving cards over in this direction. But we didn't end up drawing it. So unless we can find, we would have to have initiative and then draw into Professor X for this following turn, which I don't know that we necessarily are able to do. I think we're going to throw Cosmo into Sakaar as a way to try to grab initiative over there. We're going to throw a card Hawkeye into mid. If we can have initiative going into the final turn, then we can hopefully force them into not being able to move their cards over. I don't know that we win Sakaar if they drop something big in that lane. So Professor X would stop before anything pushed over. If they did Heimdall here, then we would win. If they did Heimdall here, then we'll lose. Actually, no. Even if they did Heimdall here, we would lose. We're gonna back out of this one. We'll go down to -1 cube. We'll reset. We'll jump back in. Spider-Man creates Sanctum Sanctorum for your opponent only. Yep, that's true. That's a good comparison, Christy. You like Storm into the Jessica Jones combo? Yeah, that one's a really tough one to beat. And Jessica Jones used to not be nearly as good as she is now. You would have to try to awkwardly put like a Drax or a Juggernaut. I think the Jessica Jones is probably the most consistent. Mr. Positive, no, we're Mr. Negative Binks, we lost. Greetings from Hong Kong. The decks you build help me a lot. Thank you so much, K21. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So, Superflow will give us an extra energy. If we can get up to 5, well, I was going to say we could sneak that away, but since it's a bot, we're not going to be able to. Actually, I kind of like dropping Spider-Man into the Superflow on 4, into the Bifrost, pushing all of the cards out on and so that we have kind of free reign of that location on 5. So if we can find a way to have the advantage for a couple of draws, if we can draw into Professor X, then we can easily lock down the Superflow with just a Professor X play. Your opponent just dropped Daredevil. Daredevil's a pretty good one for certain builds, so like a control build. And then Rickety Russ, thank you so much for joining us as a channel member. I appreciate the support and I appreciate having you here. Your notification should go off in just a second.
Hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
But if you refresh the stream, you'll have access to our growing list of emojis. I greatly appreciate the support. So our Cosmo is going to die. We're going to throw Adam Warlock and Sunspot into the Bifrost. And then next turn we'll do Spider-Man into the Superflow. If we can somehow get a Professor X, then we can lock down the Superflow without any competition. And then it just becomes dropping our Destroyer on the final turn. Binks, yeah, he's getting the hammer. He's getting the Murder World hammer. And every once in a while I will turn on my stream and I have the Mjolnir camera effect, and I don't want to scare anyone away. I have the Mjolnir camera effect linked to a button that every once in a while I end up pushing. I'll start my OBS and I'll be Mjolnir, and it's really, really unsettling. It's never a good thing to just pop up and be Mjolnir. I don't know why I still have that link to a button. Sasuke, I gotta watch your streams more often. Sasuke, I'm so glad that you're enjoying them. I have been doing. You're on an 8-win streak. That's just fate. It's saying that you need to watch the streams more often. And I've been bouncing back between Twitch and YouTube. I don't know where we ultimately stay, but Hammer Cam was amazing. It's a little unsettling, I'm not gonna lie. But that is what the hammer or the Mjolnir emoji for our channel members. That's me as Mjolnir. And so we do have Destroyer. We could use that. We're not gonna be able to lock down the Superflow though. Bernardo, do you think Cerebro is any good? Cerebro is fun. You can climb to infinite. I've known several people that have climbed with it, but it's really reliant on locations. And so if you get a bad location that affects your card's strength, then Cerebro no longer affects it. And so I think starting out, if it's one of your early cards, I think maybe you try to do I think it was a Cerebro 2 that I built. I did a video on our free-to-play account of using just Cerebro and then all pull 2 cards, and it works fairly well because you can use Blue Marvel to buff them up to 3, or maybe it was Cerebro 3. It was either 2 or 3. I don't remember which one. No, it was 2, because Blue Marvel will buff them up to 3, and then all of them get buffed up with Cerebro at that point. Has the hair avatar fixed, or is it still the same? They fixed it, Harsh. Unfortunately, they fixed the hair avatar. They fixed it pretty quickly after it kind of got released, and we had a moment of silence whenever it was first patched. But now it is centered as it's supposed to be. But the avatar lives on. The avatar lives on through us. Ice, why are you playing Green Goblin on Embassy, the hot location? It's a good call. I started the stream without thinking about the anti-synergy with that one card, and that's my tech card in this list. It's not something that I play very often, but all I know is if Binks lands on Twitch, Binks fans always vying with TLSG on YouTube. Yeah, they do. I feel like our communities, Binks, are very, very closely related and linked. I feel like we have a very similar group of people that enjoy our content, and so no matter if it's you streaming or me streaming, I feel like we entertain kind of the same kind of core groups. And then Limo, thank you so much for the sub on YouTube. I appreciate it. And then Clowny, thank you as well for the sub. So we're going to throw Adam Warlock into the far right lane. That will buff up our Hawkeye, which will allow us to at least draw one additional card. And then me, you said, what are your thoughts on Destroyer? I like Destroyer. I like Destroyer. It's usually very telegraphed though, is my only issue with it, is that a lot of times the opponent is going to know that it's coming. Because of like the way and the cards that you play to set it up, would be like the only downside to it. Definitely a TLSG and Binks fan. Webmax, that's huge. Both of us have been playing since early beta. I feel like both of our vibes are very kind of relaxed and chilled, and so yeah, it's very intertwined. What a good looking Mjolnir. The first time we rolled it out, I feel like my viewership dropped like drastically right after I went into Mjolnir mode. So with Ebony Maw and some of their kind of movement cards, I'm wondering what they're running. I'm a little bit afraid to try to push anything over here. We can do something like this and then lock in their multiple man if we think we can outpower them. We can also lock in one of the lanes with Spider-Man. Or do we ever look for... They can only play cards here and here. So if we restrict where they can move their cards to, can we find a win condition that way? We can do Cosmo and Yellow Jacket. Next turn here, we can do Professor X. That'll stop them from doing a last turn Heimdall, because they're not going to be able to push anything or maneuver anything with the Ebony Maw. Toby, big fan of both of you. I do regrettably accidentally called Binks TLSG the other day. It's all good. I think we're both pretty laid back, and so I don't think either of us are going to be too mad about anything like that. So let's lock in the far right lane with our Professor X. We have Destroyer that we'll be able to throw into Muir Island as a last turn play if they don't drop a Cloak. Cloak may be the only thing where they can maneuver their Ebony Maw, but they still wouldn't be able to drop power into Monster Metropolis on that last turn. So I think it adds quite a bit of consistency for us here. So they do drop they drop one card. So we actually swing the Central Park location, which is going to be good. They're not going to be able to play anything on this final turn. And so 16 power in Monster Metropolis would win it for us. We have Central Park locked down, and then we can throw Destroyer into the far left, and we don't have to worry about it. They're not going to be able to move their multiple man around the board, which I would assume that they were wanting to do like a Heimdall in this last turn to fill out Monster Metropolis even further. But we're going to stop that by restricting where they can play. I think we'll make them retreat by snapping, but we're going to snap anyways. And then,
hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
And W Asian or Wasian Lotus, thank you so much for joining as a channel member. I appreciate the support. I'm so glad to have you as part of the team. If you refresh the stream, you'll get access to our growing list of emojis, and I appreciate the support. You're actually subbed to Binks. I'm actually subbed to Binks to RQ. Oh, you're gonna sub to him real quick. That's huge. Yeah, Binks does some good stuff. Binks does a lot of big brain combos. It took you long enough. It took you long enough to check out Binks. He does a lot of big brain combos. He looks at breaking the game very, very frequently. I think he is probably the person that breaks the game the most often. And so he on day one, I think within a couple of hours of Black Panther being released, he broke the game by having over 2 billion power on the Black Panther. And so if you look for big brain stuff like that, Binks is your go-to. So we can throw down Hawkeye. I don't know that we don't really have a great follow-up to it. We don't really want to drop Psylocke on 2 though. So we might just not play anything into the Hawkeye lane if we don't have a good follow-up here. And then we'll see.
Oh, snap.
11 minutes. Mattis, thank you so much for jumping in, and I'm so glad that you were able to jump in and join us today. And then Saijo and Hai Shun Wong, thank you both so much for the subs. I hope that you're both having a fantastic day so far. Let's throw our Angela into the board. We really need to get rid of Green Goblin. He doesn't mesh well with the Wakandan Embassy location. Oh, and then Ilo, how many accounts do you have? Too many. I have 4. I have one that is pool 1, one that is pool 2, then we have 2 that are in pool 3, so Sulky Hulky, and then our main account. Too many. Way too many. And then Harsh, I liked his 69 more billions power. The 69 more billions power was huge. Binks, you said snap? Jade Dragon Vengeance, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll let the text-to-speech read it out real quick. And then Sasuke.
Glad to see the channel continue to grow, remembering how small it was at the beginning. What's your favorite deck these days?
So, your game, right armor, mid snap? Wait. Wait, Binks. Play armor right? Oh, good ring, armor mid, and then snap. Gotcha. Took me a while to get there. So what? Armor mid, Psylocke, and then drop your Professor X after this? We can drop Professor X into either of these 2 lanes, and then we can follow it up with the Destroyer. Is that what you were thinking? But Jade, thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. The support is massive. I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, thinking of just less than a month ago, we were at, oh no, Green Goblin. Green Goblin, oh no. Well, I messed that one up, Binks. I messed that one up for sure. Just before launch, we were less than 4,000 subs, and we're past 13,000 now, which is massive. My favorite deck right now is probably the rotation discard deck. It can do so many really big things on the final couple of turns that it's insanely fun to play. So we can do Spider-Man, or we could do Professor X in the far right lane, but that's going to come down to kind of a lucky draw on figuring out where they push their power. I don't think we have any issues locking this lane down, but the far left lane becomes the question of being able to be won. I forgot they white queened our Professor X. But yeah, the rotation discard deck is huge. It pushes so much kind of unexpected power that it's surprising. It takes a lot of 6 cubes, and it's surprisingly consistent for what it is. Most of the time you think Lockjaw and you think like really random, but with this list, it's just one of your potential win conditions. And so I think that's probably my favorite one right now, and it feels the freshest. So we're gonna try going with the, I don't know. We're down by 10, so this is only a 6 power push over them. I think I messed up without the Green Goblin should have been our play line. I don't think Destroyer is going to overcome it. We're gonna take the 2 cube loss. We'll focus up and get above. We'll get positive today. I'm sure of it. Being in the low 30s, the 30s to 40s, is so much different than what it was before. Yeah, that one, it was a difficult retreat because we had all of the tools. I didn't lay them out in the right way, and so it was one that was hard to give up. But I think it was needed to be given up. And then finally ventured into the wild world of pool 3. That's huge. What was your first couple of pools, Drake? And then Machuk, thank you so much for subbing to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I hope that you're having a great day, and I'm glad to have you here. Morbius is morbing in rotation discard deck. He is massive. Him, Dracula, just all the swarms, all of them are massive, and I think it's a pretty decent one for this build. And so if you don't have Hela, you can sub in something else. So I subbed in Thor. If you have Moon Knight, you can throw in Moon Knight instead of Hela. But it's a surprisingly flexible and consistent list for what it is. You got Arnim Zola, Magic, and Brood as the first 3. Magic used to be one to get excited about. It's a little bit tougher to use now. It's a little bit more restrictive. Arnim Zola is another one. If you get Wong, then you're set. And if you bought the Black Panther pass, that little 3-piece combo is nasty. It is one of the strongest combos that I think we have right now. If it's uncontested, they might as well stop trying at that point. It pushes something like either 32 or 64 power into 2 lanes, which is so hard to compete with. So we actually have another free pass in Crimson Cosmos because they're not going to be able to throw anything that's 1, 2, or 3 cost here. So we actually get a free extra draw. So we could do Psylocke. We have 2 out of 5, a 2 out of 5 chance to draw into Professor X by next turn. And so if we ramped up, we could lock down this lane. But I think more consistently, we're just going to go with maybe a Green Goblin. No, we're gonna go all in. We're gonna go with the Psylocke. If we draw into Professor X within the 2 cards that we draw next, then we can lock down this lane without really much issue. And then Laz, yo, how are you, man? I'm good. How are you? I'm glad that you're able to jump in and join us today. I hope you're having a great day so far. Great cards for the featured location. Yeah, Brood is a good one for the featured location. You could kind of easily throw that into any deck. And if it happens to get hit, then you just get an insane amount of value from it. So we have Cosmo. I think we might do something like Angela and Cosmo here. That's going to allow us to do either our Yellow Jacket or our Destroyer in this lane as a kind of last turn power push. And then we're still digging and looking for a potential Professor X. You think you should run Warpath in the deck? I don't. It might be okay. The Green Goblin can easily be replaced with just about anything. Gamer guys, have a great stream. Are you headed out? Did I miss your head out message? But either way, I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. I hope that you did enjoy the stream while you were here. So we blocked their Jubilee with our Cosmo, so they don't get the upside. We have Professor X now. If we can sneak that into either one of these lanes, then we can lock in our upside. But I'm wondering if maybe we don't gamble the Professor X. I guess we could always Professor X in mid. That gives us a 5 power push here. Versus only the 3 in this lane. And then we're free to drop an 18 power Destroyer wherever we want. We're going to go with that. Just in case they do push power over to the Crimson Cosmos. They could do a pretty big card. We dodged a bullet on that one. We dodged a really big bullet. So we can do Destroyer and then Yellow Jacket. It's a 19 power play into the Wakandan Embassy. Almost It's just almost an infinite. And so it's going to be hard to anticipate that amount of power. I don't think they are going to have a good counter. And so we'll lean into that piece of it. Toby, honestly, Spider-Man seems tough to use. Even after the buff, it doesn't seem that impactful and feels like a setup card that performs slightly worse than Rescue. I like Spider-Man in a lot of decks on 5. And then on this one, it helps add some consistency in locking down a lane with Professor X. I enjoy Spider-Man where he's at. I think much more power and he starts feeling a little bit broken. So we are now Mr. Neutral. We're working on becoming Mr. Positive before the end of the stream. But the reason that I launched this stream is I wanted to grind out this account for whenever collector's tokens are released. I want to be able to push all of the new cards as quickly as possible. And so we're about 1200 collection level away from the end of pool 3. And so the closer we get to that, the more consistently we're going to pull 4 cards once it's released. And then we'll get collector's tokens and things like that as well. And so I wanted to push on this account, and I was sitting on the couch playing. I was like, oh, might as well launch into a stream so that I can interact with you guys. And we haven't done a YouTube live stream in quite a while. And so I wanted to jump back in and try it out. That ongoing deck you featured yesterday is great. If only I learned how to play it properly. Which one, Drake? The Destroyer ongoing? The Destroyer ongoing is surprisingly pretty decent. You're at collection 335. Sasuke, that's not bad. Especially if you started right around the time the game was launched, that's not bad at all. I wouldn't be mad at that collection level. So yeah, you're pretty deep in pool 2. So a little bit further, you'll have all of those cards, and then once you get into pool 3, I feel like that's where a lot of the fun really starts, is because you can start doing so many kind of crazy things, and you unlock so many different cards. That it really takes the game into a different level. Up until that point, the matches that you face, the cards that you can play, are really, really restrictive. And so I think once you get into pool 3, you'll start seeing some pretty cool things. Doing great. Just entered pool 3 a couple days ago. Got Patriot and Ultron. Those are 2 good ones to get together, Laz. If you were to get Ultron by himself, he's pretty lackluster, but Patriot can make him pretty decent. If you don't find that you run up against an Enchantress, it can push a lot of power really easily late into the game. So we're going to drop Spider-Man into Wakandan Embassy. We'll be able to lock down this lane next turn with a Professor X. And so even if they're running a Hella resummon, we'll be able to lock down this lane. They won't be able to resummon anything into it. Our Destroyer is the only thing that I'm kind of worried about. If they resummon a lot of cards in Sewer System, we may not be able to keep up with the tempo with just the Destroyer. But I think we'll look at it. And then Mattis, why are you running Green Goblin with the Wakandan Embassy? Yeah, I need to take it out. Green Goblin is our tech card, but redoing the assets, actually, we'll do it. We'll change it. We'll change it after this. Stars and Moons. I sleep sometimes. Do you ever sleep? I sleep occasionally. So we can do Destroyer here, unless we thought that they weren't going to push anything additional here. But I think we pushed into the far left lane. Even we can throw Yellow Jacket just in case there's a tiebreaker somehow that gives us one additional power. But I think we are okay. That's a big bot move. So let's go ahead, and we are now Mr. Positive. It only took us about an hour, but we are finally a Mr. Positive streamer. Thoughts on using Miles Morales in a move deck? I think Miles, he's decent in a move deck. I think his strength really comes from like the hybrid decks. So a little bit of movement, a little bit of anti-movement. I think he's decent. But yeah, a lot of people put Vision in their movement decks, but I'm not a huge fan of it. And then Dry, good day. How's it going, Dry? I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. And then Laz, how long are we going to stream? Until my daughter wakes up. So it could be another hour, it could be another 2 hours. It just depends on how well she sleeps. And so I went to sleep a little bit early. I woke up early, and I was grinding out on the account, so I figured I'd go ahead and launch into a live stream while I did it. That way I could chat with you guys, because I haven't been able to do that a whole lot lately. Then Harsh, started your account when you started Sulky. It's good to see how far we've came. It is. How far along are you, Harsh? And then Dry, you just pulled Death. That's huge, Dry. And then Laz, thank you so much for joining us as a channel member. The support is very much appreciated.
Hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
I'm so glad to have you here. If you refresh the stream, you should have access to our growing list of emotes. The more members we get, the more emote slots we unlock, and we can continue to find new ones that we can add in. You're at collection 2000. Harsh, that's pretty big. I've missed several weeklies on this account, and so I am a little bit further behind. But as far as you're only about 600, 700 away from the end of pool 3, so it's nice to see how far you've been able to come along. So I think we're going to drop Cosmo into Monster Island. We might try to sneak a Professor X into Washington, D.C., and then we can always drop Destroyer into Monster Island on the final turn, but we'll see. And then THR, cheers from Thailand. I'm so glad that you're able to jump in and join us. And then Mattis, may she sleep well. We'll hope so. I hope that she just gets some good rest. 1, so that we can stream a little bit longer, but 2, just so that she's kind of rested and refreshed. So we can either do Hawkeye. Actually, I think we do drop Hawkeye here. We can throw Adam Warlock into Monster Island. That may give us additional draw. We don't really need any additional cards right now. But Hawkeye is going to make it a little bit easier for us to lock down this lane with Professor X. And they're not going to be able to destroy their hood. We're going to go ahead and snap at them. Being Sweer here, and it is now. I may not get the reference. Just got penultimate card. It was Nick Fury, which only just got added to pool 3 now. Now only need Quinjet. Ferdinand. That's a really fun deck list to play. It's not super consistent, but it is very, very fun. So hopefully you pull Quinjet soon. Dry. There's a couple of guys that are on the stream that do not usually make appearances in the streams. So we have Hawkeye and Yellow Jacket. So this is a take on this list that I just enjoy. It allows us to kind of sneakily lock down lanes with Professor X a little bit easier than we would have otherwise. And so no reference, just chew. We are here, and it is now. That is very true, Binks. No wiser words have ever been said. Sasuke, weren't you gonna take? Yeah. I'll take Green Goblin out of the deck after this because it is anti-synergy. Yeah, it's not very sneaky now with Daredevil. I'm just hoping that the 5 power extra in Washington D.C. is going to be more than they can push. They've already dropped their demon. Yeah. So no sneaky Professor X this turn, but I think we can outpower them anyways. They can't do a goblin or anything in this lane. They can't destroy their cards, so they can't get the Winter Soldier out. Because we Cosmo'd the lane, and so I think a destroyer into mid is going to be enough to win. And then I think even though they know that we drop Professor X over there, I don't think they can. I don't think they can react to it. So getting cards from collection level are random, not the same as everyone. So Kim, there are pools. So it's basically just groupings of cards. So pool 1, you'll get all of those cards by the end. Ooh, so if they drop a destroyer now, are we going destroyer versus destroyer? And if so, then we lose the matchup. I think that's probably what we're going with. Since they have a Professor X, they had a Hood and Bucky Barnes. Oof. Yeah, I think we lose this one. Should we retreat out of this one? Because if it's a destroyer matchup, we lose. Anything else, we should have a decent chance. But I think it looks pretty bad. It looks pretty bleak. And then Dry Cool, really fun to play with what you enjoy instead of what is considered hard meta push. Hawkeye Believer, that's true. Whenever I'm running a what is the one of the better decks, it sometimes gets, I don't know, stale. And so like the arrow with death is really strong. Send it. Oops, Keely, I already jumped out. The arrow with death is really strong right now, but I just can't seem to play it for very long. I don't know. It doesn't seem. It's very straightforward. Oh no, I didn't take out Green Goblin. I got to take out Green Goblin after this. I got to remember to take out before I queue up for the next one. The one from the north. Really loving your content. Been pushing since the true release. Got into pool 3 at the end of last season. Gonna try to beat my last rank, 64. Hopefully you're able to get at least 70, so you get that mystery variant. But I think with this one, since you have the entire season, I think you should absolutely be able to make it happen. And Meowth Gang, stay asleep, child. Our dad's still 0. We have to gain some cubes. You need to sleep a little bit longer. So I think we're going to drop Angela. Next turn we will probably do Psylocke. That'll let us do an early Professor X if we draw into it. If not, then maybe we go... Ooh, Subterranea is tough. So let's go Armor into Subterranea. That will give us a little bit more of a push. That protects it so we can do Destroyer in any of the other lanes towards the end of the game. Then we can still look for a win condition with our Spider-Man. Maybe we hold Spider-Man until turn 5 and then just drop it onto the board. We lock down whatever lane it is and then send our Destroyer. It depends on what cards we draw into. Green Goblin took an Iceman for the team. He still did something useful. He did. He did. He's trying to find his value. He knows that he can't be played, and so he's trying to find his value where he can. So we can do a Spider-Man into the far left, which I think we do. We may still send Green Goblin next turn. Oh no, they cap out the lane. I mean, he'll go 0, 0, or 3. Oh, he goes 3. So he goes into a positive 3 for 0 cost. So he's 0 cost, but he has 3. No, yeah, he's 0 cost, but he has 3 positive power. And when you send him across the board, the opponent gets the upside from it. So they cap out this location. It could be either 11 or it could be 16. Spider-Man doesn't do us much good over there though. And we don't have any way to protect this lane from our Destroyer, which is the bad part. We can do Psylocke, which we can find the win condition here, but finding the win condition in the other 2 lanes becomes the issue. We're Mr. Negative Streamer again. Let's go ahead and take out Green Goblin. We're gonna add in... What do you guys think we should add in Green Goblin's place? So we could do Debris. We could do... That slot is kind of flexible. We could do Debris as a way to clog up the opponent's board in some scenarios. We could do Colossus as a card that can't be destroyed. We could do Mysterio for kind of a secret push. They won't know exactly where that power lands. I don't really want anything above 3 cost, though, just for like consistency. Would we want to do Goose? Because if we do Goose, then we can't drop our Professor X. We can't drop Spider-Man. I think Goose becomes difficult because we don't have a lot of low-cost cards, and we need to protect those. I think in some scenarios it could help us with like an armor. If we had armor in that lane, it could help us lock down that one. But if we're leaning into the Spider-Man, Professor X Destroyer route, I don't I don't know that it would help us as far as consistency wise goes. Have you ever used Uwadu? He's become your avatar after all. I have used Uwadu before. Colossus isn't the worst. He adds a tiny bit of flexibility. Morph could be, we can go Morph for the high roll. But Morph doesn't get a usage out of the embassy either. So whenever Morph gets hit with the embassy, he morphs. He'll be a 3/2. But whenever he morphs into that card, so it's similar to the Green Goblin in that you don't really get as much use out of the embassy buff. We could do... Oh wait, I don't have Daredevil. That's right. I don't know why I suggested Daredevil earlier. I don't have Daredevil in this account. So I'm leaning to either Colossus, we have Mysterio, or Morph are the three that I'm kind of leaning into for right now, and I don't have Debris on this account either. I forgot I'm kind of limited in what cards we have. We could do Bucky Barnes. Most of the time, our Destroyer doesn't actually trigger, though. Captain Marvel. We could do Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's kind of a rover on the board. She could come out of a Destroyer lane. America Chavez? Let's go with Colossus. I would do Bucky Barnes, but he suffers the same fate as any of the other cards. If he gets buffed, then his buff isn't really going to do much, and he won't retain it on the Winter Soldier form. So let's go with Colossus. Mr. Sinister might be okay, but a lot of times we're pushing and we're kind of capping out one of the locations, and so I think we're gonna go with Colossus for now, and we'll see if that helps our consistency any. And it's one of those slots that the Green Goblin's like kind of our backup. He's just more disruption than anything, and so replacing him most of the time we're not really gonna have too much use out of it. But every once in a while, it may be something that is value added. I'm updating the assets really quickly, so let's go ahead and grab a screenshot of Colossus, and then we'll queue up into a game while I update the slideshow with this last card. But all the other ones, were decent ones. I think Morph could be fun. I think Winter Soldier, as far as in like this style list, is probably good as well. But I think Colossus will offer a little bit more flexibility in most games for us. So we're going to take out Green Goblin, and we will add in the Colossus. And it might be in the wrong order for now, but at least it's in there. Okay, so we get Tinker's Workshop. We have 2 energy. We have our armor early on. We have Psylocke. I think we're going to throw... let's throw armor into the far left lane. And then Harsh. I'm getting only variants in the collection level. Still no Mystique for you. Ben Bro, we need to talk. I definitely understand digging and looking for Mystique. She was my very last card pool. It took until collection level 3800 for me to get it, and so yeah, I understand waiting for that one. It's one of the more flexible ones. I think she's probably going to be one of the favorite cards to use collector's tokens on. I think probably her, and I think her Wong will be another one that gets unlocked quite a bit with collector's tokens, and we can. I'm not sure what else, but oh well, I dropped too many cards on the board. We didn't get usage out of the Wakandan Embassy buff. We're gonna throw Adam Warlock. If they don't throw a card here this turn, then we get the card advantage on them, and then maybe we get at least one trigger out of Adam Warlock. So Ivan said, sorry, I just want to ask, how many collector levels to collect most of the pool 3 cards? So anywhere from 2700 to 3200, you should have just about a complete collection. And so anywhere within that range, you should be able to, you should you should be able to have most of the cards. And so at that point, so probably like 19, 20, you should have the majority of them. And then after that, it's just kind of figuring out the last few. And then WebMax bot spotted. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's why we're having some consistency, because a lot of times with this list, it comes down to getting and sneaking in your Professor X plays. So if we don't get any more gains here shortly, I might pivot, and we might run a version of the discard rotation deck. I have most of the pieces of it, and so that one's a fun one as well. The bots do be botting though. They do be botting. And so if we were to throw a Professor X here, I'm very confident that they're going to counter it. And so at that point, we would have to either skip to gain some extra energy. But if we somehow manage to trigger it, then we have the 1 card advantage here. And I think, I don't know. We're going to throw it into the right lane. They're going to throw a card into the right lane too. And then, Ko, you said I just got Leader. I heard this card is toxic though. Leader can be pretty toxic. That's true. It's hard to anticipate. And so your last Odin Infinite deck worked great. Yeah, so I really like that Odin Infinite deck in Pool 2. And then transitioning it to Pool 3 has some pretty decent advantages as well. Our collector's tokens coming in collector's reserves. Yeah, so they said that they're going to be a free to acquire currency, and I think I don't remember for sure, but I think that I read that they're going to be replacing boosters. Yeah, thank you for letting me know to snap it, because this one should be a surefire. They could have a claw. For some reason, they could be running a claw. I always have to be weary of that in like bot matchups, but I do think we have a pretty good chance of winning this one. You just got Arrow and Goose as your first Pool 3 cards. Is there any decks that you can build with just those? Arrow, anything that has like early tempo, you can do pretty decent. Where her strength comes in is whenever you can start limiting what the opponent can play and how much space they utilize. Goose is good in a Death Wave or just an ongoing deck. So you can upgrade a Spectrum ongoing deck with Goose because it's another cheap ongoing card, and it limits the amount of space that the opponent can play in. And so that would probably be your easiest transition, is to run a Spectrum ongoing and then throw in Goose in replacement for one of the high cost cards to lower your curve and more consistently kind of stack that lane as full as possible. Rickety Russ at 999, and I don't have Mystique but have Wong, Sarah, and Destroyer. That's a pretty good pool, Rickety Russ. That one's not bad. And then Leo Zero, cards in Professor X lanes can't be destroyed. Yep, that is exactly how it works. Man, I haven't been paying attention. Yeah, so that's why the Destroyer package is, in my opinion, viable. Otherwise, you would have to rely on Cosmo. Wait, did I get? I'll spot the extra cubes in there. Yeah, I think I only added 2, but we won 4. But those aren't bad cards. Destroyer's really easy to run for an early game. Wong, you just throw it into an Odin on reveal, and all of a sudden you just have some massive combos. So really, really good pulls early on. So with the big house, I think I was going to say I think we throw some of our early or low cost cards there, but the issue becomes that we have to protect this lane with an armor to be able to make sure that a destroyer wouldn't destroy them. And so I think we're going to lean into the far right lane instead. Well, I guess we can lean into it now. So let's do armor. We can do armor. We can do Hawkeye. Next turn we can follow up with maybe a Colossus. They have initiative, so they do get the Bucky Barnes destruction, unfortunately. You pair Zero and Red Skull together usually. Yeah, Zero, Red Skull, Enchantress are all good ways to utilize Red Skull. What is the play with Red Skull? I mean, it gives all opposing cards. Yeah. Would love a video about Red Skull deck. So I have one recently, Koshik. It's titled Zero to Hero, or Zero the Hero, and it works incredibly well. Built in the right way, it can be really consistent. And then Urko, thank you for the call out. Yeah, the Zero to Hero one is probably one of the higher end versions of it. But I think Zero decks, so Zero Red Skulls, are one of the top tiers right now. We can do Colossus. We can ramp with Psylocke. We can then either drop Professor X here. We can do a Yellow Jack and a Professor X into the far left lane, just depending on what we see that the opponent has and what they drop. You played it a ton. Yeah, that one is really it's consistent, and so I think even after playing it for the featured video and just kind of exploring it a little bit further, I think I averaged like a 65-70% win rate with it, and so it's very consistent. It has a lot of win conditions, and so it has a lot of paths to that final destination. So they use Angela into the Wakandan Embassy lane. I don't think we can win, or I don't think we win this one with just a Professor X play. But I also don't think we win the big house location either. So I think this one has to be our go-to for the win condition. We don't win the matchup in the big house. If we drop Destroyer here, I don't know that it's enough. And that's if we draw into Destroyer. We're going to play Professor X into the Monster Island. I think it gives us a better push if we can get Destroyer. We have a better chance of locking down the Wakandan Embassy lane versus Monster Island with just the last turn Destroyer play. And we don't draw into it. So we have a 7 power push, but that's not going to be enough here. The Yellow Jacket will take down the power by 3 here, so that's not going to be enough for us to push it. And so this one is going to be one of those that we rinse and repeat. We try to mitigate the cube losses where we can with this list, and then when we have the high roll, this list will probably be around 60% in the long run for a win rate. And so you try to capitalize when you do have the ideal play line, and find 4 and 8 cube wins where you can. Nightwave, have you tried the Patriot deck, the one with no abilities? I have. So I've tried several. The most recent one that I tried was with an Ultron. I made a video about I think it was the Age of Ultron returns or something along those lines. And so yeah, I've tried out a few Patriot deck lists. You can build it in a few different ways, but I'm always hesitant on those because it's always so reliant on drawing into or the opponent not running Enchantress. If they run Enchantress, then you lose. You can just lose 8 cube games out of nowhere. By 2. That's true. That's true. The North one, it would only go down by 2. Because Colossus wouldn't take the negative. Is the description for Yellow Jacket wrong? On reveal, afflict your other cards at this location with -1. No, that sounds right, Ghoster. Is a Patriot deck viable without Mystique? It's tougher, but I think it can. Yeah, it would. So yeah, it afflicts the other cards with -1 power. So it would have taken 2 power because Colossus wouldn't be affected, and so Yellow Jacket afflict your other cards at this location with -1 power. So I think you wrote it word for word, Ghoster. That's kind of impressive. And then Sharp Shades, how do you feel about Galactus? I like Galactus. I like the thought of Galactus. I don't know how he does in practice. So if he's ever fully released, that's going to be it's always going to be a card that you have to potentially build around. So Debris is going to see a lot more play. Making sure that the opponent has something in every single lane is going to be a lot more important after Galactus is officially released. Yeah. The Galactus animation is one of the coolest things from Galactus, and his ability is polarizing. But I think they have to be really careful when they do fully release it. So we get the lockdown with Wakandan Embassy. We can do a double trigger of Hawkeye. Then we can do Cosmo to make sure that they don't have any on reveals that can trigger. But then we're still waiting to draw into our other pieces. After that, we can start investing over here. Potentially, if we draw into Spider-Man, then we can lock down this lane. I think this way we'll be all right. Doggo mid. Yeah, we did have the doggos. They're sleeping. So we do stop their Jubilee from pulling any cards, which is massive. And then there comes the retreat. After not being able to pull anything with their Jubilee, where they were going to try and pull 2 cards because of Camartage, we were able to lock down this lane and then completely counter this one. So this looks like a mid-range deck that runs into like a Mr. Negative, or just a really large minion deck that's running these for the early game into like a Lockjaw plus Jubilee. And without being able to start rotating, it becomes much less impactful much more quickly. And so we will take those cubes where we can. Let's jump over into the next one. Yeah, well, Darkmane, I think they said him and Thanos need a release that seems fitting of their strength and their impact. And so I'm guessing pool 5, where it's going to be really, really tough to unlock them. I doubt that they're going to be able to be targeted with collector's tokens. I think they're going to put those as like a very late game kind of goal for people to aim for. Either that or he's like a special event that is built around him. You're surprised Thanos doesn't snap away half of the cards once you play all the stones? Just like clear half the board, both yours and your opponent's? That'd be tough to build around. So we have Shuri's Lab, which now that it's not featured, is always decent to see, especially if we do a Yellow Jacket into a Professor X. That's going to be a lot of power to push there pretty quickly to potentially be able to steal that away. If we get a Psylocke on this next turn, then we'll snap into it. Really curious to see what those Infinity Stones are going to be like with Thanos. So we know what the stones are mostly what the stones are going to do. What I'm curious to see is how well we can build around those. So using something like Quinjet to reduce the power of the stones. It's going to take a lot of space on the board, and so I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of decks are built around it, and if there is a consistent way to make it work. So I think we're going to drop Cosmo in mid. That will allow us to, any kind of on reveals that they have aren't going to trigger in Shuri's Lab. We can always drop Yellow Jacket, which will double. We can drop Professor X, which will double as well. Either that, or we can do a last turn Destroyer if it seems like maybe we go Spider-Man into the Gia. And actually, I like that play line. We're going to do Cosmo mid. We can do Spider-Man into the Gia. Most of the time, the opponent's not going to play cards there because they don't want the negative downside of drawing or having those rocks added to their deck. From that point, we can then lock it down with Professor X on 5. And then a last turn Destroyer in Shuri's Lab is going to be massive. They go with the Cosmo of their own. Interesting. So I wonder what they're running, and if we can get away with just doing the Spider-Man. I think this Yellow Jacket will be if this is a mirror match, I think that will be the determining factor, and being able to swing this mid location. So we're gonna add rocks into our deck. Most of the time you don't usually play cards into the Gia until you either have all the cards you need to draw, or something else comes. Ooh, Omega Red is a card. So let's go with Professor X. I would imagine an Iron Man and then maybe an Onslaught, but that's only a +8 into these 2 locations. 5, 6, 7, 8. But that'd only be +8 into these 2 locations because they can't Mystique to copy the Onslaught's ability. So I think we lock down the left lane, but I think we need to play Yellow Jacket. Because if they have Onslaught, that's going to be +8 power to the left. And Professor X plus Spider-Man is only going to be 8. So we need the extra power push there. We're going to try to find our win condition in Wakandan Embassy. That's going to be 21 power here. And if they invest all of their resources into Shuri's lab, then I think we can find the win condition still. Claw. Oh no. That's not what we wanted to see. Null is going to be good if it's not changed. I actually haven't seen what Null does, Drake. Then Alvin, oh, if they made a story mode just for them, that'd be cool. That'd be cool if they had did some kind of event that like was really big and was really big and impactful. So now it depends on what they drop. If they drop an onslaught, that's going to be plus 12 power here. That's going to be plus 8, so it's 20. It's going to be 22. That beats us by 1. Oh, he gets all of the stats of the cards that were destroyed. True that. Then in that case, yeah, he'd be really good. This is going to be 22 power. Pushing this here, if they do an onslaught, that's another 14, which becomes 50. We get 36 power, which is 46, which is still not within range. This is another one that's going to be tough to lay down, but I think we need to lay it down. Because that's 2 outs for them that they potentially have that we can't counter around. Had we held our Yellow Jacket, maybe we could have found the win condition in Shuri's lab. If we were anticipating the Claw instead of the Iron Man. But as is, we're gonna back out. I think that's safer than risking the additional cubes. Adventure mode was a thing in Hearthstone. It's not a big leap that they could try it here. Yellow Jacket, I don't have Destroyer. Luis, you don't have Destroyers. Destroyer's the big one in this list in being able to run it. Outside of that, Yellow Jacket's a tough one to run for sure. I think this is the only list that I've ever found that Yellow Jacket feels like a good ad. He's decent whenever you drop him behind a Cosmo, but most of the time his impact is pretty lackluster. But Toby, yeah, I think they could eventually do a story mode, but I know right now they're investing their resources into developing like the friendly battle mode, the widescreen version of the Steam client, and some of those other like big things. And then yeah, the Sentry, I haven't seen that one either. But Lewis, I hope that you pull I hope that you pull Destroyer soon. He's a great early pull 3 card. Ultron is somewhat like Omega Red. It is too concentrated in one location. That's true. And so it becomes really easy to read what the opponent is running at that point.
Oh, snap.
And then Salvi, thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube channel. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you here. Just pull Destroyer and you're live with this. Fate does exist top deck. That is massive. Well, we're at 0 cubes. We haven't gained too much. We've been back and forth, but hopefully you can get some inspiration from this one. There are more traditional Destroyer lists, and so if you don't have Yellow Jacket, there are some kind of more straightforward ones, or you could run the Spectrum ongoing Destroyer kind of combination. I posted that on about 3 videos ago now. It's the one that has Spectrum as the thumbnail. If you want to go with that hybrid and you're early on in pull 3, that one's a great one as well, top deck. Is this your normal streaming time? Winston, it's not. Usually so right now, in addition to creating daily content, I work a full-time job. And so my content creation, or my live streaming at least, is a little inconsistent. A lot of times I do a mid-morning one. It's lunchtime for me, but it depends on where you're at around the globe. But for me, that's usually what fits best. And so it's usually only around an hour for my lunch period, because outside of that, I have work and then family after work. But I woke up early today and I was going to be grinding out on this account anyways, and so I decided to go live. And then Laz, gotta go, keep doing great, man. Thank you for hanging out for a little while, Laz. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, whether it be night, morning, or evening for you. How long do you stream for usually? Usually around an hour to an hour and a half, because it's just during my lunch period. But if I am up and I've already created my content for the day, sometimes I'll do extended streams, which is what I've been, where I've been finding myself kind of recently. So I think we just skip here. Actually, this adds 3 power for 3 cost, but it caps out this location. I think we're just going to skip here, and we'll probably destroy... we can't destroy our next turn, because we don't have anything that's going to save it. They did run a Mr. Negative, so they could have some big power pushes. I guess they didn't draw into anything good. That will bump us back up to Mr. Positive. Let's churn through a few more. I'll try to get through them a little more quickly because I'd like to gain some cubes. But if nothing else, we are working on like our season pass rewards. We're getting some boosters because on this account I'd like to get as close to pool 4 as possible by the time they release them. That looks alarming or not. Bonus extra special stream. Oh, is the puppy in the shot? Let's see. We have one puppy sleeping here, and then one puppy sleeping here. And one puppy sleeping over there. It is the extra special puppy live stream. So let's jump back over here. Right after I said I'd stop getting distracted and I would churn through the games more quickly, I get distracted by puppies. Yeah, so Kim can't. I have 3 Great Pyrenees, and so they are the biggest lapdog puppy friends that you could ever want. So we're gonna play Colossus into the left lane. We're gonna invest a little more heavily than we normally would into the vault. If we draw Spider-Man, we can lock down this lane on turn 4 because they won't be able to drop anything on 5. If we can find a way to use Destroyer, perfect. More dog mid, always dog mid. You always play the doggo mid. And then Winston, when is pool 4? We don't know for sure. Right now, all we have is soon. In true fashion, they've said that we're gonna know more information about it soon. And so we don't know exactly what that means. But hopefully, so I think it was on the 8th that Ben said we would have more details coming up soon. And so hopefully sometime next week we know a little bit more about either timeline or what that looks like. Because I think that those get released alongside collector's tokens is what I would imagine. Because they've said that they're not going to do another event like Nexus events. They're going to lean more towards like the variants and using that as their way to have that monetization. And so with that, I think all of these backlog of cards, I think they're going to release them to kind of boost up the collector's tokens for everybody, not just newer players. So we lose the vault. We could potentially win the Atilan location. Professor X mid might be a play as well. That would lock it down, but that leaves us with just 16 power for our Destroyer. But I think that's probably going to be our most consistent play. What if we Psylocked into maybe into a Destroyer onto the far left? We'll have one last turn to play into the vault. They do have additional ways to gain power with the Morbius, which is the scary part. We now draw Spider-Man a little bit too little too late. If we can get a card to stick here. If we can get a card to stick in the danger room and they don't get any additional value, then we could potentially skip and gain some more power in the vault. We could do Destroyer here, which would clear out this card, actually. I don't like any of our play lines here, but let's go with Hawkeye into Danger Room, along with our Professor X into the far right lane. I think we just lose this matchup. I think the Vault is going to be hard to attain, just because Morbius can continue to grow in power. I think this right lane should be fine, even with the Collector. And then it comes down to a chance of whatever cards get played here, if they get destroyed or not. We do have the upside of having Hawkeye that's stuck, and so, well, then if we drop Destroyer, we're going to destroy the Hawkeye that's already established there. Maybe we just go with something like a Cosmo instead. But they're going to be running their Apocalypse, which would come here. We're gonna roll the dice. We have a 3 out of 4 chance of letting this one stick. We'd gain the upside and beat their Apocalypse. But that relies on both of our sticking. We'll see. They did a Dracula, and it got destroyed. We got incredibly lucky. Yeah, you have to take the 75. That's what I was thinking. When I was looking at it, it was a 75% chance that they would have dropped the bigger card and won because we went with the kind of safer play line. And so that's why I ended up going with the Destroyer instead. Because their odds of having their card stick were just too high. Yeah, the friendly neighborhood web slinger was just a little bit too little, too late. At least in that game. Maybe this time we'll get him a little bit earlier. And then Kim Camp, do you think Marvel Snap is too free to play? I mean, it's very good that it is, and you love it, but maybe it's not sustainable if players are not enticed to spend more. I don't know. They've leaned in pretty heavily into the variants and the different cosmetics, and I think other games have been pretty successful with that strategy. If they can appeal to a much wider player base, then like selling things like the season pass each month is incredibly good value, and then the variants are always like cool to unlock and kind of build on each other. I don't know. I don't know from a long-term perspective like how that support is. I know that they said that. So they're very data driven. Before making that decision, I'm sure that they looked at how variants were performing, how the spending was, just to get an idea if it was worthwhile to lean that way. They did get a lot of slack for the Nexus events, saying that it was like a predatory model. That it was a predatory model, and I think their bigger concern was appealing to a wider audience and making sure that it lifted off. I think hammering down monetization would be something that comes over time, and so I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure that they have thought through some of those different avenues and play paths, or avenues, not play paths. We're not. I'm sure that I hope that they've thought through some of those avenues, and hopefully for all of our sakes, it is a game that continues to develop and thrive. One a month is making the meta stale. Yeah, so as soon as they get collector's tokens in the mix, they said they're going to move towards a 1 card a week release. And so that is where I think all of this is going to start ramping up, is once they have the 1 card a week kind of in place. I think it's going to be I think it's going to change the meta a lot more frequently. Yeah. So once every month, I agree, is slow. It feels, especially without like a major patch. And so like right now, they've said that the meta state feels like it's in a decent spot. But with that means no big changes for any of the decks, for any of the cards, and so then you start running into stale matchups. But with 1 card a week, it's going to create new archetypes, new deck techs, new different things, and I think that's enough to keep at least more players enticed for longer. I don't know that that's like the only thing that they can change and then just be fine, but I think it's a good first step. You would pay $4.99 a week, yeah, with how much I play, and that's kind of my justification for continuing to either buy gold or buy the season pass, is that I play and put a lot of hours into Marvel Snap, much more than some AAA games. And so if that means I paid, you know, $10 a month here and there, then I'm okay with supporting the game that I'm enjoying. So they have the lockjaw for a rotation. They could outpower us there. I think we went too we went too hard in Mojo World. So we can do 17 power here. That's not a great push though. Hey guys, started playing a couple days ago. Is it worth getting the premium from the start, please? I would say, Deadbot, if you're looking at spending any money in the game, I would say that is the one that is the most, you get the most bang for your buck. And so I'm a supporter of the premium pass, not the additional levels, because if you do all the quests, then you're going to get to the end of the collection track anyways, or the premium pass anyways. But with the premium pass, you're going to get a lot of value for it. I guess what I'm hoping for with Lockjaw is that they just rotate into some low cards. Most likely they outpower us because discard decks run a lot of big things. But okay, yep, we definitely get outpaced here. Back to negative streamer. Your favorite Professor X variant? I really like this Professor X variant, and I pulled it from the collector's track. And so it's one of my favorite ones as well. Milky. And Milky, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. I know that you've been busy with your content grind. I've been busy with mine, but I'm glad you were able to stop in and say hey. Dinar, hi, how's it going? Keys, the staggering amount of Marvel characters means they could put out a new card every week forever. Yeah, I think with the new cards, the new locations, things like that. I did lose to a deck that I featured, and so it's always like a bittersweet moment when that happens, because you know on one hand you don't want to lose, but on the other hand you got to respect it. Like if it's something that you put out and they adopted it and it went well, you know that makes you feel good as a creator as well. You don't have any Netflix or Hotstar, so my entertainment. So it's your entertainment pass. Yeah. I used to do Netflix, but I don't do Netflix anymore. That may be the sound of the stream coming to an end soon. I'll see if she goes back to sleep, but she's at least stirring. So we need to get Mr. Positive before that happens. So I think we Cosmo mid. That's going to allow us to potentially do a Yellow Jacket mid as well. We have a Spider-Man that's going to be able to lock down a lane. If we can draw into Professor X, that's perfect. Harry, are you late for the party? A little bit. I mean, our cube gains wouldn't tell you much, but we've been live for almost 2 hours. It's been very up and down with this list. I thought it was going to do much better for us than it has. I think it's still good, but we've just been getting outpaced here and there. At least with the current matchups that we're going up into. So I think maybe we do. Or is that investing too much here? Because if we don't lock down one of these lanes, that makes a Professor X here kind of difficult. Now let's do it. Sharp Shades, I really enjoy your videos, and you give off a really good vibe. Hope to catch another stream. Sharp Shades, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I always enjoy hearing that. As a content creator, you want to make sure that you're putting out stuff that adds value, and so I'm glad that it is. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Milky, yeah, busy time, work, fam, baby, content. Yep. I am. Yep, I'm in the same boat as you, Milky. I didn't realize that you had the other obligations going on as well, though, and so yeah, it's definitely been a very busy time. Nightwave, first stream I caught here too, and I liked it. Really informative and chill. Do you have a regular schedule? So I'm still working on like what our regular would be, because right now it varies quite a bit. So we're gonna retreat out of this one. Right now it varies quite a bit because I'm juggling a full-time job, family, doing daily video releases, and then streams are just kind of the bonus whenever I'm caught up on all of that. So I try to do a lunch live stream. So around it's 10 to 10:30 Central Standard Time. 10 to 10:30 Central Standard Time during the weekdays. I think I got time for one more, and then baby doesn't seem like she's going to go back to sleep. So around 10 a.m. Central Standard Time is my go live time for most days of the week. Would be my most consistent schedule. It does vary a little bit as like, different work obligations come up. Sometimes it pushes those around, but that's what I try to stick to, at least for now. Key's got to hit the sack, but I'm glad I caught you live. Gonna keep pushing your collection so you can hopefully match up against you one day. Catch you in the big leagues. Keys, I hope that you have a great rest of your night, and hopefully we can match up soon. I always enjoy going up against other viewers. And so I always enjoy the Spider-Man points, the fist bumps, and then even if I lose to the viewers, and especially if it's one of the lists that I created or that you tweaked from my content, it's always so fun. Win or lose, I enjoy matching against people that recognize me or recognize the content or that I recognize from the live streams. You just got Death and Hella from Pool 3. Can they work in Pool 2 decks? So Hella is a little bit more difficult because you don't have the discard triggers. Death would be the closest one, just using like a destruction deck, using something like Squirrel Girl with Killmonger, might be able to let you get Death down to a reasonable range to use on that final turn. It gets much more consistent for Death once you do have your wave, but at least until then you have a couple of options. So I think we're going to run Cosmo in the left. We're going to hold Yellow Jacket for now. We have to finish up this game because she is up, and that means the stream will come to an end. But I want to maybe we can go all in. Our top deck doesn't look great. Maybe we can go all in and become Mr. Neutral Streamer at the very least. Crimson Cosmos is tough. We don't have much that we can drop over there that we've drawn into. It's unfortunately. So let's go with Angela and Sunspot. We're going to hold Yellow Jacket for now. And then we're going to let Sunspot start absorbing some energy. I don't know if we can make this one happen, but we're gonna try. Use Death, Killmonger, and Moon Girl, then frame the deck around it. Moon Girl is a little bit less consistent. It's kind of hard. It's kind of tricky to use, but whenever it does work, I think it can work incredibly well. So let's go Colossus here. We're going to let Sunspot absorb some more energy. It looks like they're running a Spectrum deck list. And so we're going to give away the Crimson Cosmos for sure. But, well, I guess they could have an Onslaught over there, which would push 8 power here and here. So it'd push 4 more. That's not going to be great. I think it's our best bet, but I think we still lose this one. We're going to let this one play out. It all comes down to this one, whether we become Mr. Positive or Mr. Negative. Look at all the streamer love in here today. How wholesome. Yeah, we've had a lot of streamer love in here. And so I think because it's an off time where not as many people are creating, that we've had a lot of traction. We do get the lucky flip. It was a Spectrum ongoing deck that does push us to a positive 2 cubes for the stream. We do end a 2-hour long JProx. How's it going? I'm so sad because you just jumped in, but we are winding down. My daughter did wake up, which she was the determining factor of when we ended the stream. And so she is up stirring, which she actually, no, she's still crying. But thank you everyone that jumped in and joined us today. The positivity has been absolutely incredible. I'm still looking at where we stream consistently, whether that be on YouTube or from Twitch, but I'm not sure exactly where we land. I do like the YouTube platform. There are some things I like about Twitch as well, but we'll see where we ultimately end up. I appreciate all of you guys that jumped in and joined us for this impromptu weekend stream. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys on tomorrow's lunch live stream. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.